Nowadays, the world of modern FPS games is separated into pretty much two categories: tactical and arcade. You have games like Siege or even Overwatch, games that thrive on tactics in different ways, whether it's the callouts given by the team or just movement. Or you have the more simplistic shooters like Call of Duty or even Battlefield to an extent. Games where the player base use the callouts and movement systems to shit on the enemies. But what happens when traditional movement is amplified further and the gun handling simplified so that the gunplay can thrive with its new system of mechanics? Trepang happens. Now the first question anyone asks is, what the hell is a Trepang? And why is it squared? Well, Trepang is actually just the name of the studio who developed the game. An indie dev stationed all the way out in Vancouver, with currently only 4 members to the development team, spawned out of originally a single developer. The team grew pretty fast after the game's first demo was published online, with the demos themselves originally just being called Trepang 2 as a placeholder name. Other than that, there's not really much information about the developers online, other than maybe a wiki page on the game. Now if you haven't guessed, the gameplay of Trepang is certainly the biggest highlight and main draw of the game, with a quick and responsive movement system that accounts for sliding and jumping, which helps with crowd control immensely. It also has some decent melee, with the ability to pistol whip, kick, and even drop kick at certain points, stunning and pushing the enemies around the place to put them where you want to murder them. Now the number one draw, however, is the gunplay. With no way to ADS, you're at a constant state of hipfire, meaning you can use those 10,000 hours of your life wasted away on CSGO to your advantage. Now there are a select few guns in the game to have fun with, only one of each type though. There's the pistol, assault rifle, shotgun, DMR, SMG, a much simpler grenade launcher, and a minigun, which looks more like an LMG to me, but what do I know, I'm a dirty British bastard. You can also customize your weapons. Sadly, these don't boost your stats in certain categories, so you can't shit on enemies in your washed up battle royale game. Things like suppressors, laser sights, or even incendiary rounds for the shotgun, which when paired with the dual wheel ability you get way later in the game, makes the game about as easy as your mother is to get to bed. When all three of these elements are combined together, it delivers a unique FPS experience that thrives on being fast-paced, overstimulating, and a gore fest. The gore in this game is also unmatched by a lot of other games. A single pull of the trigger can cause entire crowds of enemies to explode into a glorious fountain of guts and crimson blood. So you guys obsessed with watching gore videos online won't be disappointed, though I know your father's probably disappointed in you. Now there's one element of the gameplay we haven't really gotten into yet, which is your powers. You are technically a superhuman, genetically engineered and equipped with 2 unique abilities: the ability to go invisible and, every gamer's wet dream, bullet time. Now these 2 powers are unlimited meters, however, which run out pretty quickly. The invisibility allows you to disappear mid-firefight, so you can get around an enemy and grab him, where you can either break his fucking neck, throw him, or attach a grenade to him and then throw him into his buddies. The bullet time helps the most during crowded situations, letting you process information on screen, which is important in such a fast-paced game, and it also makes you look like an even bigger badass. Now, as much as I love the gameplay, there is an issue with replayability, and with the price point they're selling, I'd expect much more than 4 main missions. Granted, they are relatively lengthy, and there's a few side ones here and there. I mean, in total, the entire game's content is only 10 hours long, but there are grueling difficulties which make replaying the game much more interesting, as well as an arena mode where you can fight an infinite number of enemies in a range of different arenas. But I can't help but feel there is still a major lack of content considering how expensive the game is, being an indie title. 10 hours of actual gameplay doesn't cut it for me at that price, and it shouldn't for you. So I'd get this game on sale at a cheaper price if you do decide to check it out. Now the 4 main missions center around an actual main plot. There is an actual story to this game, but it is extremely uninteresting even when they do some world building or lore, such as the cult you come across at some point in the game. Now spoilers if you care, just know the plot isn't the important thing in this game. You're essentially a prisoner of a military group whose name I can't remember right now. This group has connections and ties to a cult. At the very start of the game, you've been rescued by an unknown killer who ends up taking their own life at the very start of the game. After massacring the prison you were held in, you become enlisted in the same group as the man who saved you was, a militia who are going against the guys who imprisoned you supposedly. A group of people who have the same depth as your average Call of Duty protagonist. They aren't interesting in the slightest. They take us to a safe house, a place hidden on the mountains. Here we can change the colour of our clothing, use the firing range, and access the main mission board. First mission is at an old folks home, where the people who kept us prisoner have been slaughtering and experimenting on the residents, resulting in some gross ass zombies and Mothman. Yeah, Mothman's in this game, trust me, it gets worse. This mission ends in a boss fight against Mothman himself, in a super tight enclosed arena, which doesn't really work for this game. It makes it really difficult to use the movement system effectively. Another reason this arena is so annoying is if you get too close, an animation activates that you can't counter, and that takes a hefty amount of health away. But once Mothman is dead, we get back in the chopper and head back to the safe house. Soon enough, we're pretty much back on our next mission, now dealing with a heavily armed cult connected to the Syndicate. And it's a good, fun visual change of pace. A lot of the places before this have been industrial looking, with it all taking place at a castle, Jorvik Castle specifically. All the while an eerie tune plays, which is similar to that of the one during the game's intro, and I will say I do think it's pretty cool. This mission contains some bosses too, and about 3. The first one being the Enforcer. Basically just another cultist, this time equipped with a minigun. Making use of the elevation and sneaking around this guy is pretty much the best way to deal with him. The regular cult goons are pretty much the same, other than the classic suicide enemy that has to be in every video game. These guys will light you on fire and themselves if necessary. I feel like this is a good time to talk about the enemies actually. They all remind me of the enemies from Payday 2.
Keep your eye on those monitors. You could be anywhere. They were trying, but the equipment is all kinds of haywire. Keeps disconnecting on us. Don't bitch at me, you whiny fuck. Just make do with what you got and shut the fuck up.
The voice acting for this game is great, with constant screams and funny voice lines full to the brim with profanity, even if some go a little bit too over the top. Once the Enforcer is dealt with, we head back to the courtyard, where we come to find members of our squad have actually gone missing. At this point, the cult and the people who imprisoned us are no longer friends, so send hate-fueled texts to each other. They start murdering each other at the courtyard. We do some LA Noire detective work before we finally find the bodies of our team and our second boss of the mission. Spectre the Actual, one of the members of a military team, has been transformed into a monster, using similar experiments used on us to create this monster. This guy is way different to the last one, sprinting towards you and destroying the environment around you, which is pretty cool to look at, and even pull you towards him at certain points. Once he's dealt with, we finally deal with the leader of the cult, the Patriarch.
So it's true, you really are just like me. The question is, are you any better?
Takes some time and more running and gunning through hallways, but we do get to him. Patriarch is actually a lot like us, another experiment turned superhuman, similar to the guy who saved us at the start. I wonder where this particular plot point's going to go. Anyway, we kill the fuck out of this guy who spawns in another Spectre 3 enemy and crowds of cult members until he finally dies. What a fucking pussy. Anywho, mission complete. Our next mission takes us to Siberia, where we go to a remote research facility where experiments like us are made. Something went seriously wrong here. If you watch Analog Horror, you see that the enemies during this mission are familiar. Yeah. The back rooms is canon in this game, which kind of fucking sucks. I feel like the back room started off as a cool idea, but after a while it had the same horror effect as like Got in a Band. The concept was there, but it became a big meme, like Mothman. So another weird meme thing coming out of nowhere really breaks the pace of the game for me, simply for a term I've coined the whoa reference. The back rooms itself originates from a weird glowing rock deeper in the facility that we have to destroy to end the out of control experiment. Once we're done with that, we GTFO back to the safe house. The last mission, Horizon HQ. We breach through the headquarters of the bald dude who imprisoned us. Not much happens during this mission, to be fair, other than a guy with a better hairline than you uploading his brain to a fucking computer. We quickly put a stop to that though. With the leader finally dead, you got your revenge. Your mission is complete. You can go find a nice woman, maybe even start a family. Oh no, who could have seen this coming?
Don't fight it. You are our most valuable asset, Wilson. You served the Syndicate well. It's time for you to retire.
The guys who have been helping you betrayed you. I failed to mention before that after the very first mission, these guys show you a fucking nuke that they have at your safe house. For no reason. Really? I mean, I did a better job of making the twist at least kind of surprising by keeping that a secret. Turns out these guys have been making versions of you for a very long time and destroying them once they're done with. That's why the guy who saved you at the very start killed himself, and why the Patriarch was so adverse and angry that you existed, boasting about how better he was than you. That's why you're 106. There's been 105 ones before you who failed to do your task. But you wake up before they get rid of you and kill every one of the pseudo Call of Duty protagonists until finally the final boss shows up.
Initiating cycle 107.
107, who to be honest does just kind of like an asset flip from Killing Floor. I'm not sure why he looks like this, to be fair, considering no predecessors to you do, and neither do you. He's a Hulk who has camo just like you and can almost teleport around. A lot of the plot reminds me of Hitman, you know, bunch of clones try and kill one of the other clones. It's pretty much the exact same. Boss fight goes on for a while and can be kind of annoying until you lose an arm. You can no longer dual wield. The mechanic you've been overusing and shredding crowds with since you got it is gone. Stuck with just the arm, you massacre the entire place until finally murdering 107 and setting off the nuke, destroying yourself and the experiments. This is considered the canon ending, but also the bad ending. The good ending is similar. I mean, you die but are reborn from your memories, remaining as the one rogue cycle that gets in the way of the Syndicate ever keeping it going again. There are also a couple of side missions that tie up loose ends, like clearing out the last of the cult members in a mine. Other than that, it's a lot of domination-esque gameplay, capturing objectives against horde of enemies. And they're okay fun, I suppose. Some take a more supernatural twist at times. The game does take a lot of inspiration from Fear, but it doesn't deliver much on the horror front. It's just got big monsters and gore, and yeah, the backrooms, I guess. But that's pretty much Trepang 2. Overall, it's good, dumb, fast-paced fun that you don't buy for its amazing plot or lore,